We're getting into ACC postseason play. Two Tar Heel teams were in the postseason this weekend, starting with cross country. Men and women both finished third. Ethan Strand finished second individually for the men. Parker Wolf finished third for the men. Per Chris Miltenberg, Parker Wolf not 100% in that race. But between the men and the women, Carolina got 6 all-ACC slots. Now that you've added the new teams in cross country, the ACC is incredibly good in cross country. So a third-place finish bodes well for the NCAA postseason coming up. And then women's soccer is also in the ACC tournament. They played number 12 in the country, Virginia Tech, on Sunday night. Former pod guest, Kate Fossey, with a brace.
Yeah. I have heard that term more in the last, year and a half than I had ever heard it before.
I agree.
It's all over the place.
To the point that when I first heard it, I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
But now I use it all the time because it's part of my regular lingo. Both her goals were about a minute apart. One was on a PK. One was on a really nice header. Virginia Tech did not have a shot on goal. And the overall shots were 10-4 UNC. The win advances Carolina to a semifinal meeting with number 1 in the country, Duke, on Thursday at 5:30 in Cary. Carolina 16-4-0 and ranked number 8 in the country at the present time. Some teams getting closer to the postseason. Field hockey is now there. They won 5-2 at Duke on Friday. Former pod guest Katie Dixon gets her second goal.
Yep.
One of those 5. The Tar Heels, of course, are the top seed in the ACC tournament. You talked about playing Cal or Stanford at noon. Field hockey plays Cal at 10 a.m. today in Winston-Salem.
Feels a little early.
What a wise expenditure that is for Cal to come
Cal
across
athletics.
the country and get absolutely smoked at 10 in the morning in Winston-Salem.
So worth every penny.
Makes complete sense. Carolina's 15-0 overall. They're 8-0 in the ACC. That's before the Cal game.
Yeah.
Volleyball beat Clemson 3-1 on Friday at home, and then just a humdinger of a match on Sunday.
Yeah, it was a tight one.
Tar Heels lose the first 2 sets to the Jackets, who are number 16 in the country, then fight back, force a 5th set. They lose that 5th set 15-12. It was back and forth the entire time. I went to this with a volleyball insider.
Wow.
And she was very helpful. I know a lot more about volleyball now.
Well, now the time of year isn't the same as far as the point of the season. I'm going to go in the Wayback Machine, Adam. Remember when Carolina played Illinois in the 2006 basketball season? So the Heels had beaten Illinois and then they lost to them, but it was a really competitive game, and you thought, you know what? They weren't quite ready yet, but this team's got something. Feels like we're this volley, they may not be quite there yet, and they've got some really difficult matches upcoming. I know they go to Pitt, who I think is number 1 in the country, and Louisville's very good. They still play them. But you can tell they're coming. They're not there yet, but you can tell they're on their way.
That was definitely the feel in Carmack. The Tar Heels have some really exciting players, even to someone like me who doesn't fully understand why they're exciting, other than they just hit the ball really hard, sometimes off of people's faces.
Yeah.
Volleyball's fun to watch. I mean, it's loud. Carmichael's a good place for it because it's all kind of right on top of each other. The points are fast. I like it. But you are right. The Tar Heels go to number 1 Pitt Friday at 7 o'clock. Carolina's 18-3 overall, 10-2 in the league, still in third place in the league, but of course they also have big matches against the 2 teams above them. If this team could make the NCAA tournament, that'd be a big step. Swimming and diving. Men got a really good win against number 15 Virginia, won 13 individual events. On the women's side, Virginia's number 1 in the country, but of course, Aranza Vasquez won the 1 meter and the 3 meter.
I feel like swimming has taken some steps forward.
Got some really good individuals.
Yeah.
And Virginia's number 15 in the country and a consistent, really good squad in swimming. Yeah. And the men got the win, and it wasn't close.
Yeah.
Fencing. The women won, the men lost at Duke. The Duke women had been number 6 in the country in the preseason polls, Jones. I thought you might know about this. 3 wins on the women's side for Nicole Maluski from Jacksonville White Oak.
Yeah.
What are they teaching in the old fencing game?
White Oak is the rival, Adam, the Vikings.
Right.
So I'm happy for her success due to her Tar Heel allegiance, but, it's not Cardinals in the front. Let me hear you grunt. Yeah. Cardinals in the middle. Let me hear you sizzle. Actually, see here, that's the thing. That was actually Northwoods Park, the Dolphins, who did that. The middle school. Jacksonville was a different cheer, but I just had to get those together. But that's great. Early action for fencing, it feels like.
Yeah.
Get going early here.
Yeah. Matt Jednak, we like him, former podcast,
Yeah.
the head coach.
I saw Coach Jednak. He was in here with his team going through some media stuff. Maybe like 2 weeks ago or so. We chatted just briefly. He's fired up for the season. So he's excited to go. And a good start.
Tar Heels coming off a league championship.
Yep.
Then last thing, men's soccer, disappointing loss. I think it's fair to say 1-0 at home to Boston College on Friday. BC hadn't won an ACC match prior to that. But Carolina dominated this game. BC only had one shot on goal. The problem is it went in.
Yeah.
Carolina had an 8-2 edge in quarters, 17-4 in shots. But again, BC's one shot on goal went in. Carolina had 8 shots on goal. None of them went in. That's how you lose 1-0, Jones. Carolina's
that is Soccer Corner.
Carolina's 9-3-4 overall, 4-3-1 ACC play. They'll go into the ACC tournament this week as the 6th seed. They host number 11 Cal. Another thing that I bet Cal's athletic department is really excited about. Yep. These two teams didn't play this year. That match is Wednesday at 6. The winner advances to the quarters on Sunday at the campus site. Winner of Duke and Virginia Tech. The key thing about the loss to BC is Carolina would have been home in that match, but now it's looking like they might be on the road, which obviously would be tougher. But most important thing right now in the Chapel Hill tournament is the Tar Heels face Cal on Wednesday at 6.
This is not breaking news, but that is the thing with soccer, right? Like you can dominate a game and just not be able to finish, and you can lose 1-0 to a team that you're clearly better than.
Well, and so I watched a bit of the Carolina-Virginia Tech women's soccer game on Sunday, and the announcers—
You were all over the place.
Yeah, I was. I really was. And the announcers, who were not Matt Krause, unfortunately, kept talking about how Virginia Tech was dominating the game. They didn't have a shot on goal. In what way were they dominating it?
Well, why don't you do a soccer game?
Well, I would know if they hadn't had a shot.
Yeah.
They weren't dominating. Like, you have to do that to win.
Yeah.
You have no chance of winning if you have no shots on goal.
Even Adam knows that.
Unless it goes to PKs and you somehow win there and get something weird happens.
Yeah.
In regulation, you need shots on goal.
Even Adam knows that, guys.
I know that if it's going to be the most exciting 7 minutes of your life, you need shots on goal.